Hello, everybody, and welcome to tonight's live stream. I'm JD. I'm joined tonight by Matt Pedalston in person.
Woohoo! Hey, JD.
This is the first stream that we have actually done here. Well, I've done here in Dovetail HQ. We've spent the last couple of days making this room feel like a streaming studio, and I think we've done a pretty good job.
Just for those of you that watched the streams quite a long time ago, this is the same room.
Just better.
Wow, this is such a good environment. I want to do all the streams here now.
Absolutely. And person to introduce before we get started, we have producer Ben behind the scenes. Wave for us, Ben. There we go. He is going to be taking us through all of the different tips and trips that we're going to be doing over the course of the next, let's say, couple of hours. Producer Ben has just winced internally. Okay, so we're going to be showing you tonight Southeastern High-Speed Extended. We're going to be showing you Cajon Pass, and we're going to be giving you, hopefully, all the information that you need to know before early access tomorrow and launch, obviously, next Tuesday. So I know everybody's very excited, and I know we want to get into some gameplay. Don't worry, we will. But we have a 5-letter word that everybody loves to get sorted before we get into that. Who wants some admin? Yes! Okay, so don't worry. This is just to try and make sure that everybody has the information that they need so that we don't need to spam the chat with stuff later. So pre-order is obviously live now. You can get early access with standard and deluxe pre-orders, and early access will start for different platforms at different times tomorrow. So if you're on a console, you'll get access from 0900 UTC. If you're on Epic, you'll get it at 1500 UTC. And if you are on Steam, you'll get it at 1700 UTC. I did get that right. They might be a little bit different in terms of times because some of the platforms need to put them on manually. But those are some estimates for you so you can set out your alarms if you need to. Bless you, Matt. So if you are planning on going into early access, you absolutely can do. We would look forward to seeing all of your feedback. If you're on console, you can almost do some of the preloading for the game as well, so that you spend as little time downloading stuff on the day when all you want to do is get into game. So you can do that now. Just set up your automatic downloads, and it should start if you haven't already. Progress transfer is happening. Yay. We're able to announce that yesterday. Please make sure you check out the article on our website, which details how you can go about it and some helpful screenshots that show the UI. That will be for players, well, all players apart from Xbox for Windows and for Epic. So you'll be able to transfer your liveries, your scenarios, your profile, and all of the other bits and pieces that you need. Just a quick little note on that: if you want to import all of your liveries and scenarios, please do that the first time that you log into game, just so that you are able to get them. We've got a little thing that we're trying to work through at the moment that means that the only other way that you're going to be able to do it if you import it after you first access the game is through downloading things from Creators Club. Next port of call is preserved content. So there's been a lot of anticipation for some of the preserved content coming into game, and we can announce that the Bakerloo timetable, the Rhineborough-Austin Preservation Crew update, Peninsula Corridor, Oakville Subdivision, LGV, Cathcart, all of those Preservation Crew updates will be going into Train Sim World 3 on launch day on the 6th. So that's very exciting. We can't wait to see what your feedback is from that. And my last port of call was for Add-ons Manager, just a slightly different note, because we mentioned on Train Sim World 2, we'll be releasing it before the release of Train Sim World 3. We've had a couple of issues with testing. There was a couple of challenges. We didn't want to release it in that state, so it's going to be coming after Train Sim World 3's launch now. We'll keep you updated as and when we are in a position to put it live. Admin, done.
I want to clarify a couple of things.
Okay.
So first thing is, you said Xbox for Windows, and it's got a couple of people confused.
Right.
That doesn't mean Xbox. It means Game Pass for Windows. So with people who play on a PC using the Microsoft platform.
Yes.
Xbox will get the profile porting.
Do you want to answer the next question?
Where's my headphones?
Oh, do you know what? I hadn't even realised that. That is scandalous. Why could we not get some cat ears for these headphones?
I don't know. It's the complaints will be lodged tomorrow, but in the meantime, you'll just have to deal with the black Razer Krakens. But no, my other headphones are on my normal PC. Yeah,
and just one more point before we get into it. Early access is obviously over this weekend. If you would like to, obviously, we'd love you to pre-order whenever, but you can pre-order any part of that early access window and get access straight away. So if you had it on a whim that you wanted to do it on Sunday, you could get early access on Sunday and play it that day if you wanted to. You don't have to, it's not a cut-off. You don't have to wait for release day. Should we get into some gameplay?
I think we should get into some gameplay.
Cool. Okay, Southeastern High-Speed Extended. Shall we get started? Let's see the menu screen.
Right, so we're going to run 1 Juliet 45, which is a Ashford to St Pancras service. I'm just following my instructions here because I have a bad habit of not following instructions and getting in trouble. Right, September, and we want to go for some light clouds.
It is the 1st of September, everybody, as well.
Yes. Right, so we'll leave it with dynamic weather. We have no idea what will happen from here on in.
Oh, the jeopardy.
The jeopardy, yes.
So just before we get started, it has, Southeastern has, I wrote this down earlier, 586 services.
That's a tremendous number.
Which is a tremendous amount. We're going to be doing this one, but there are plenty more with lots of different locos over the course of the entirety of the route.
Right, so we are at Ashford. So I'm going to do a standard setup of the train first. Start with the master key in and the reverser, which I'm going to stick in neutral for the time being. And let's get the doors open. We'll get that going. Right, let's get some safety systems on. This is entirely optional. If you want to play with safety systems, do so. If you don't, then don't. Turn DSD on, turn AWS on, alarm sounds. We have to press this button, and that'll reset that. And then down here, we have the KVB and the TVM isolations. Right, that's us all of the safety toys turned on. Now, what happens sometimes when I push this forward is I press it too many times and I put it into off, and once or twice that sort of confused me a bit, because I put it back into neutral and the train does its setup thing again. It's all good, and it won't take power. Let me just answer AWS. Now we've actually got a help tip here to support you, so let me close the door and let's pretend I haven't noticed what's wrong, because let's be honest, half the time I don't. And I'm going to apply the power. Notice a little help driver assist has come up, and it's told me that the circuit breaker needs to be closed. So that saved hours of wiggling the lever backwards and forwards, going, why isn't it moving?
That would have saved me so many times in 4-up challenges.
So the light here is on. We press the pan up button, and the light here is off. We are now good to go. Right, we are going to depart Ashford.
And we're going to Ebbsfleet. So one of the things that we're going to be doing with this stream is we're going to be interspersing some live gameplay with some pre-recorded content to show you some things that otherwise we wouldn't have been able to show you tonight. So we've got about a 10-minute segment in the middle where we're going to be showing you some pre-recorded cool stuff, and we're going to be doing some gameplay in between that.
Yes. So one thing that's interesting is you see the yellow balises we're going over at the moment. You'll notice that KVB just got activated, and that's because these days Ashford has KVB for these trains. The dashes mean that it's active, and essentially to drive to KVB, it's as simple as don't break the speed limit. So it's usually causing me a bit of problems, to be fair. But it's as simple as that. You get a little bit of leeway where it starts complaining before it puts the brakes on, but it's really straightforward. And then a little bit down the line here, TVM enables, and then we'll be able to get up to the full line speed. And you can see 31 uninterrupted high-speed miles to Ebbsfleet.
Delicious.
Right, we can go 100 kilometres an hour now. Still under KVB. I think TVM, you see a cab board come up here any minute now, which will be the one that tells us we're going into cab signalling.
Should we do the horn?
Let's do the horn. There's the cab board. So TVM comes on. Let's take the throttle off, however, and put some brakes on. Right, let's do the horn outside so that we can see. These cabins are quite well insulated, so do the tunnel when we get to a tunnel. Excellent, good job.
So you might have noticed actually that the last sort of gameplay stream that we did for routes was Kassel-Würzburg, and there was a little blue light at the start of the tunnels. As you can see, that's not there anymore. So we're going to do a little bit more on that further on in the stream, but it's worth noting that right now.
There's your dose of horn. Right, 225 kilometers an hour on TVM, so we can now accelerate. And as we accelerate, one of the things that you'll notice, if you're familiar with this train, that it actually has two different types of horn. Depending on how fast you're going, it needs a horn with a bit more oomph when it's going fast. So as we pass 160 kilometers an hour, you'll hear a hydraulic hiss. So I'm going to wait for that to happen so that I don't talk over it, and then I'll explain what happened.
Dougie Gamers asked, can we gameplay with the weather? Well, this is dynamic weather. We don't know what's going to happen. It could be that it starts off absolutely beautiful like this, and within a few minutes the clouds could roll in.
You hear that hiss? Go. That was the hiss. So the horn has now changed. I'm going to leave it on, I think, which means now it's louder. So that horn is it's a simple thing, but it's what the train really does. And if I remember rightly, if you're holding the horn down as it does it, you'll hear it step up as well. So that's one of the changes. There's a number of bits of polish that have gone on throughout the audio on the train, but that's one of the sort of slightly more functional changes that have happened on the audio.
Yes, and a couple of people have mentioned about the setup time for the Javelin for this particular service, and we've got a Javelin just passing us. But Joe and James and the team have done as good a job as they possibly can do to try and make sure that the 2019 timetables are reflected within this, including all of the accurate setup times as well. So we'll go on to a service, I believe, a little bit later on. We should hopefully show that in a little bit more detail.
I think every service now has something like a 2-minute setup time, so you've got tons of time to get yourself comfortable, set up, put your safety systems on and do what you want to do. You shouldn't be in a rush to get going as you were previously.
Isaac, we are going to do Dartford as well in a bit. This is going to be part of the live element of the stream, but we've got a little wizardry to be doing, some train hopping that we're going to be doing over the course of this segment.
So we're going to be driving to Ebbsfleet, then we're going to wait for a train to take that will drive to Gravesend, and then we're going to wait for a train that will drive from Gravesend to Dartford. So we're going to be going a bit all over the place. Plenty of opportunity for the weather to either do nothing at all, you know, as is often the case when you try and demo something, or do something exciting, and we'll see. It's random, so we are at the mercy of the random numbers.
Absolutely. We've had a couple of requests for the PIS.
Okay, we come outside. So PIS has been enhanced. It now knows what car number you are. There's other static displays on there, as well as the other information, the usual information. So you see the different cars have got different car numbers on them as well. So there's been some enhancements to the general PIS. I think they're able to do static in displays as well. There's next stop call-outs on there. There you go. There's quite a few things going on there. It's a bit more, and the ICE one is similarly enhanced as well.
Should we show the map? No, but we'll leave that to no. We'll show you the map. Don't worry.
I'll show you the map. There you go. This is the map. So we started at Ashford down here. This is the depot, which is fully usable and used in service mode and scenarios. We are coming up HS1. This is where you cross the Medway. This is Ebbsfleet, domestic and international. And then you've got Stratford and St Pancras. Here you've got Dartford, and then you've got Gravesend here somewhere. Who Junction, which you can see is littered with stuff. You've got Strood, Rochester,
Yes, and it's not all about mileage, but it's 89 miles now, this route. And again, hopefully one of the themes that we want to get across with this particular segment is, yes, there's lots of new track, but there's also lots of areas that have been enhanced with the original route as well.
Yeah, absolutely. There's been things like we'll come on to things like fences. We will come on to things like OHLE. We've got some video clips to show them. We're not showing them in game just purely for time. We've got an awful lot to cover, we do want to show you it so you can see what it looks like.
Yeah, we're not going to be driving without the HUD. It's quite difficult driving and presenting and answering at the same time without having the pressure of driving HUDless as well. But this
route is actually one that you really need to be watching as well, because the gradients are changing constantly, and you can go from being in a gradient that you haven't actually got enough power to accelerate up, because on the steepest gradients, full power will not accelerate you, to the next minute you're flying down a gradient and in risk of accelerating beyond the TVM limit. So it's you've really got to watch what you're doing on this. There's no cruise control on it or anything fancy like that. You are the driver. You need to watch what you're doing, and So we're where are we now? 19 miles out of Ebbsfleet, 210 kilometres an hour, and working our way along the line.
Lovely. Let's see if we can answer some questions, shall we, in the chat. Electra Gaming has asked, do TSW2 mods work in TSW3?
If you mean community mods, I actually don't know the answer to that question. I suspect most of them probably will. We haven't changed pack files, so this is not like TS1 to TS2 where the pack file format was changed. But if it's for this route, for example, probably not, because this route has been quite radically changed. There we go, I'm going too fast. I don't know is the answer to that question, but possibly. If you're a mod author and you're having problems, just give me a bell.
Yeah. T-Boys asks, do Steam pre-orders get early access as well? Yes, they do. You will have access from 1700 UTC-ish tomorrow. I know the Steam page says the 6th of September, but that's just the way that Steam works. You can either have an early access date in there, or you can have a launch date. So we chose the launch date, but if you've got early access, don't worry, you will be able to download it from that time tomorrow. Oddiso, I believe that's his name, or their name. Are signals and safety systems the same as in the TSW2 version?
No. Similar. But we've, let me get back in the cab so it's a bit quieter. We have added approach control. Again, we have a video demonstrating that. And we also have TPWS overspeed sensing grids active as well. So there's a few technical enhancements to the signals. I think the team have gone through and revised and corrected some of the existing signals as well, particularly in support of OSS and approach control. But those are the two major technical infrastructure overhauls on the signals.
Yeah. So if I Light 8 asks, if I buy the game between the pre-order release and the normal release, will you get it straight away? Yep, we covered that earlier. Isaac asks, will we see fully explorable Ebbsfleet Station? Yep, we will show you that in a second. The chat is going very quickly tonight. That's what happens when you've got 2,000 people watching. Not used to this fame, I guess. Let's have a quick look. Triple J asks, if we buy a regional bundle and want to buy another TSW3 core route later on, can we? I believe the core routes will be separate on the store as well, so if you want to download those separately, you can do. Let's have a look.
Ooh, I think we're going into the North Downs Tunnel now, which is a kind of a notable feature along the line, one of the longer tunnels. And there you go, darkness.
3.2 kilometres, Yoshi Train Spotter says in the chat.
There you go.
Isaac, getting an error saying you're too early for TSW3. Will that change tomorrow? Yes, it will, because you are too early today. A couple of people have asked about guard panel. Is the guard panel operational?
That won't have changed, so I don't think so. If it wasn't before, it isn't now.
Okay. Some more early access timing questions. So I'm just going to go over the whole set again whilst we're in the tunnel. So if you are on console, so Xbox or PlayStation, you will get access at 900 UTC. If you want to plug that into a time converter, just so you know what time that is wherever you are in the world, then please do. Epic will be 1500 UTC and Steam 1700 UTC, around about those times. Some of the platforms add things manually, which means that they might be slightly differently timed, but those will give you hopefully a rough guide as to when you can expect it to be available for you for early access. Monty Burns says that's 10 a.m. BST. That is correct. That means hopefully I've got the conversion to UTC correct, because that's always my kryptonite.
There's a question about international platforms at St Pancras. So again, we'll be talking about that and showing it to you a bit later on. But the short answer, yes. Viaduct. Medway Viaduct.
Some gratuitous route fan shots here, I think.
I'm expecting lots of great screenshots to be from around here, and interested to see what people try taking across that viaduct.
Lucas has asked, will 3D rail arcing be visible and or pantograph sparks? Yep.
Yes, actually. Oh, well, we're running in dry weather, so...
there we go.
There you go. We just had a spark. There you go.
That was a nice bit of, I say luck, but...
It was all planned.
All planned.
It's all
planned. Ha! We did do a trial run for this a couple of hours ago, and...
it went really well.
It went really well, and if anybody says otherwise, they are lying. Taya's Trains asked, will there be neutral sections?
No, we don't have neutral sections implemented.
Okay, Dan John Deere says, is the underground in the third game? Well, Bakerloo will port over from TSW2, so yes. If there are what you mean are new underground lines, not at the moment. And no, Jason, I wasn't driving earlier. It was Matt.
Allegedly. Wheel blur, good shout. Let's show you some wheel blur. Or lack thereof. So yes, all of the trains that are new with TSW3 have that the new wheel approach to them, so they don't spin their particles everywhere.
Mr. Cube says, is Hamburg-Lübeck getting the new timetable? We need to double check that one. It wasn't in the article deliberately, but we have asked our build manager if it is included in the patch that goes live, and if it is, we'll update that article, but at the moment, assume not. And InstaSim asks, is the motion blur update going to be applied to older Loco add-ons?
Assume not, and we will surprise and delight you if that changes. But this is something that Adam's team will be looking at. It is not a trivial change, so this is why I don't want to make any promise. It's not a trivial change at all.
Rob asks, can you change the possibility of a weather change? No, it's all random.
No. Yeah, exactly. It's random. So we've got 4 different weather patterns for each of the different seasons. So they go. So if you want to prefer bad weather, do a winter or an autumn. If you want to prefer good weather, do a summer or a spring. And you'll find the different seasons, and you'll explore, which weather patterns you generally prefer, or which starting weathers you prefer. Whether you'd like to start with clear skies because each of them have got different probabilities of transitioning. So if you're in clear skies, you might stay clear skies for quite a while. If you start in raining, it might be more likely to change sooner. So it's something to explore and see how you get on with.
Yeah, and it really enhances the kind of adaptability that you'd have to have as a rail driver in real life, isn't it? Because you have to treat the train differently. You have to be slightly perhaps more or less aware of what's going on around you. It adds an extra layer of challenge that we perhaps haven't always had.
No, I mean, in fact, it just started raining. I just noticed the clouds were starting to fill up compared to where they were before, and then spots started appearing on the train, on the window. So it just started raining.
Well, would you look at that? Isaac, can you change the dynamic weather to custom weather if you don't want dynamic?
Yes.
You can turn it off if you want to.
Yeah, the old custom weather setting is still there, fully usable, and you just switch between dynamic and custom, and if it's custom, it won't change.
Yeah, but by default it is dynamic, isn't
Correct,
it?
yes.
Yeah. Will there be any Eurostar trains?
No.
Not at the moment. Is it on Game Pass? It will be. It will be on both PC and Xbox Game Pass. That will be available from launch day on the 6th, and it will be standard edition on Game Pass. Volvo asked the TSW3 Deluxe Edition Spirit of Steam any different to TSW2 Spirit of Steam. It gets all of the new features that we've talked about for the last few weeks on Train Sim World 3. So all of the new weather effects, all of the new sparks and all that kind of stuff. It will get all of that, whereas the rest of the existing Train Sim World 2 routes will get dynamic weather, and I believe the new
Lightning.
Sorry, got to be very careful there. Not
That
the new
N
lighting.
is important.
Lightning, everybody.
Someone asked earlier on if there was a tutorial that covers dark signals. Yes, the LZB tutorial includes using, because it's dark signals are an LZB feature, and the LZB tutorial explains dark signals as well. So don't worry, there's quite an advanced tutorial on LZB, AFB, and dark signals.
And Strike Eagle, you're correct. Old routes will not get the sparks as well because they need to be implemented on a. Is it a route by route or a loco by loco basis?
The sparks on the trains are done on the trains themselves.
On the trains, cool.
Right, so we've just arrived. I am not going to open the doors because then you can't move because there's too many people. Let's put some newspapers down. Do my second job, and I think somewhere around here, if I remember rightly, there is a map. This is the new map, folks.
Lovely.
Something else, I'm not holding the shift key down. The default for running and / walking is now, it's got the steps, is running. So if you press the shift key down,
brilliant.
It walks.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's a lifesaver for me.
It's
Captain Slow over here.
If you don't like that, you can change it. It's in the settings screen.
Yeah. Spooky asked if I order the standard edition of TSW3 now on Steam, will I be able to play TSW3 tomorrow? Yes, you will.
Umbrellas, hats, new hair. Characters have had quite a big overhaul. So we're in Ebbsfleet main concourse area. If you know Ebbsfleet, hopefully you recognise the. I think there's a Smiths or a Marks and Spencers there, and you've got get your tickets here and your route maps. And then this is where the normal tickets are sold. Meanwhile, we can head out over here to. We're going to head up to the domestic platforms. So let's take a walk down here. We really wanted to make sure that it's not just a question of adding. Oh, hello. It's not just a question of adding the international platforms. We wanted to make sure you could walk between them as well in a plausible way. So we've added all of that. And welcome to the international platform. Sorry, the domestic platforms. And I'm going to make sure I'm on this platform. And hopefully all will be good this time.
Some very interesting hat colours, I have to be honest. We're not a nation known for our fashion choices, so this is what a normal rush hour looks like on a British platform.
Exactly. Oh, got some umbrellas out going on here. The prevalence that you're seeing of pink, by the way, is not due to me, directly at least. But I'm happy nevertheless.
Yeah, and as you can see, the passengers don't open their umbrellas until they're actually out in the open. Because as we all know, That's bad luck.
Yes, they only open their umbrellas if they're actually in the rain. And not all passengers have got umbrellas, so these ones don't have umbrellas because it wasn't raining when this particular character was spawned, I would guess. But as a character is spawned, if it's raining, it will get an umbrella and it will just carry it around. And then when it gets out of undercover, the character will raise the umbrella up. So you'll see the animation. It's pretty cool.
Okay, so we've got a little bit of a while to wait for our next train. So should we do some pre-recorded stuff, Matt?
Yes, let's look at some of these awesome videos.
Okay, so producer Ben, this is your time to shine. We've got 10 features. We've got about 10 minutes. Should we get started with some overhead lines?
There we go. So we've got a new member of the team, and their focus has been to learn the overhead equipment tools, learn how overhead equipment works around the world, and redo, in this particular case, redo all the OHLE on this route. And they're going forwards. The idea is to create as realistic and authentic looking OHLE as possible, including things like these tensioners, and other elements of it. So hopefully you appreciate the correct style of catenary that's being used and the variation you see on there, including you'll see the right catenary now used on the when you come out of the tunnel. Previously the international section was stretched across 4 tracks instead of only being on 2 of them. So yeah, lots of good work there.
Lovely stuff. So we've talked overhead lines. We're now going to go into talking about some fences, because we know this is an area that has had quite a lot of discussion about it in the past.
So immediately you can see the difference. Open fences, it's a lot more open, it doesn't feel closed in like it did before. Significantly better to drive. And the other thing is that Joe and the timetablers have added some static stock around in the sidings at Dagenham, so you'll see locomotives and wagons and all sorts of things going on there. Some of which is from the included stock, some of which is included through layers. You'll see a little, I think it's an 08, we'll see in a minute. So there's all sorts of stuff that's now really visible. But you'll also see that the other style of fence, the sound barrier fence, is there, but it's been shortened because it was too tall before. So that's been done as well.
Awesome. Should we go to Rochester? Let's go to Rochester.
Rochester Station, so we now have a car park where a warehouse used to be. I think I've got that right. So there's incorrect scenery at Rochester. If you knew the area, then it just looked out of place. So that's been corrected. So this is the new Rochester Station. So you can see we've got the displays there for the driver. They're not operable, but they are now in the right places where they should be, and they were missing previously. This is Rochester Old. Rochester Old was too clean. It is a disused platform. It's the old Rochester Station, and it didn't look disused or old, and now it does. It now has all sorts of rubbish lying on the platforms, weeds growing everywhere. Looks actually a lot more like the real thing does. So yeah, great job by the team there in just contrasting that. It looks like a disused platform now, whereas people previously said, why aren't I stopping here?
I think that looks great. Should we go to Gillingham?
This is Gillingham level crossing. So the footbridge has been changed to be more like the real thing, and the cars are crossing the tracks. This is a first, and you'll see as the lights start and the gates cross, you'll notice that the gates go down. Sorry, that the cars will stop and wait.
As you have on multiple occasions, you were telling us earlier.
This is basically half of my journey home is waiting at these gates. Yes, these are infamous, to be honest. And I know one time I was coming into work and I had to wait for like 7 trains to go by. It was like half an hour sat at the gates. But anyway, I digress. When the gates go up, you will notice that the cars will start moving again. So
love the lighting in this as well.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
Lovely. Okay. There we go.
No, we're not getting audio on this video, I don't think. But what should have happened there is you get a honk off from the car if you stand in front of them. Previously, they just drove through you.
Which obviously is not realistic. So, walking through St Pancras now.
Oh, you all heard it and I didn't. Fair enough. Cool. Right. So we're walking through St Pancras. So we wanted to to make it to where you could access the international platforms. We didn't want to implement passport control and queuing and more queuing and queuing for queuing.
We love queuing, though, we're Brits.
Well, yeah, no, really don't. This is the simplified access to the international platforms, and the international platforms get used by a special service. So there is no Eurostar trains in here that will operate here normally, and this is more for you to use in things like Scenario Designer and so forth. However, there is a special service that we'll cover in a bit that does use these platforms.
Okay, and someone was asking for the Class 66 earlier. Here we go.
Sounds. So all new sounds on the Class 66. These apply to the Training Centre Class 66 as well. There's also been some feature and physics updates on it, including a prototypical train length monitor using the data cord control in the cab.
Yes, and this is the standard loco on Training Centre as well.
Yeah.
And announcing itself there was the 375 as well.
It's the Electrostar, and yeah, that's had a big overhaul on its sounds as well, bringing it in line with the Electrostar, the same style of sounds that were on the London Commuter. A lot of people were saying when are the 375 sounds going to be brought up to the standard London Commuter? That's this.
Yes, and all these sounds are sourced from Armstrong Powerhouse as well, and mixed by our internal team.
Yep.
Okay, we are going to do some rail tours now. And do we see a steam train in the distance?
I love this so much. It's awesome. Joe is literally my hero. There you go, Jubilee steam rail tours on the on there, and it's always the Bahamas. It's always the same loco each time.
And what could this be?
Well, this appears to be Medway Viaduct. The train coming.
Out of the mist.
The TGV. So that allows you to drive 300 kilometres an hour on the fast stretch of the line, and we'll run into the international platforms. I think it's only 1 or 2 services a day, so if you're not interested in it, it won't bother you. But it's fun and awesome.
Okay, we are going to talk a little bit about approach control now, and Matt's train has just arrived in the station, so I'm going to wait for him to get in before he talks about it.
Right, so approach control, right, I'm going to pause the game, right. So approach control is designed to slow you down and ensure that you have slowed down. So it holds you to a red light. So you can see the repeater banner here, a banner repeater here with a stop indicator, and so the train is slowing down. If you were to go too fast, you'd just run the red light, and that would have the usual bad consequences. But as you approach the signal, you'll see that it changes. And it's an automatic thing that just enforces the train slowing down, and that's actually quite a common feature on this route, particularly primarily on diverging junctions. So another example of it you'll find at Who Junction. So there you go. The signal's just changed, which is automatic. It's nothing to do with there being another train in front. It's that a timer has finished, and you have to ensure that you've slowed down enough.
Okay, Ashford Depot next.
Ashford Depot. So this is probably one of the most intricate depots that we've actually built. This is where the Javelins are serviced along with some other trains. And you can crawl under the trains, you can climb over the trains, you can just enjoy trains. Walk around the depot.
And a few people earlier were talking about being able to explore more in the chat. This is one of those opportunities that you can do that. And
absolutely.
Hopefully Ebbsfleet as well. We're trying to build out the world of this route outside of just driving a train.
Yeah, totally. It's a really interesting depot, and we wanted to make sure that it's a big feature of the route.
Yes, and before we go on to the next one, there was a couple of mentions about the Railtours. You will need the add-ons in order to make those layers a reality.
Yeah.
Cool. Finally, this one is just got some nice menu music audio over the top of it. It's a rush hour at Strood, a little time lapse, so you can see sort of an example of what the services will look like in reality. I'm going to give another shout out to Ben here, our producer Ben, because he's the one that wrote the music for the menu. So give a little clap in the chat for Ben if you enjoy the menu music. Wasn't that lovely? Lots of clapping in the chat there. Thank you. That there endeth our 10 features and 10 minutes segment of the stream. We hope you enjoyed that. Let us know if you like that kind of thing, because actually, if we do more of that kind of thing, how would you feel about it? Because we know you love to see as much in preview streams as you possibly can do. That's the way that we can show off a lot of new stuff in a very short space of time. So, Matt, where are we at now?
We are at Ebbsfleet, and with a fair wind behind us, we are going in the right direction this time. And we are heading for Gravesend. So we're just loading passengers. And in about a minute's time, we'll get clearance. I'm going to close the door shortly. Yes, at Gravesend, we will be swapping to a train in Platform 0 and making our way to Dartford.
And it is raining, as we saw earlier.
Absolutely. It's the same session. I haven't exited the game, so it's just carried on. Interestingly,
in our little run-through earlier, Matt actually managed to miss this train and got on the wrong train.
I went into Stratford instead.
We don't have a blooper reel, unfortunately, but it would have been good for it.
So it never really happened, is what we're saying.
You can tell yourself that one, Matt.
I will.
So as you've noticed, we have a 2-minute setup time here as well, as we were talking about earlier. So that's one of the things that Joe and James were very keen to implement. Again, while we're doing claps, let's give a clap to Joe and James, who have done a fantastic job with the timetables on this route as well. Pretty much as real as they could be for 2019. All of the variety that you want, and hopefully, again, you're kind of seeing some of that over the course of the evening.
Right, we've got our objective. Let's get to Gravesend. I've got a train to catch, and I don't want to be late because then everyone will be going on at me for ages again.
So one stop to Gravesend?
Yep, just straight over to Gravesend at this point. So we're in third rail and old school. Just got to go around this corner here.
As I say, you can hear some of the sounds as well that have been implemented by the audio team. I think they've done a really good job with this route.
Yeah, the audio team wanted to do a lot of. I've spent quite a lot of time, not just on environment audio, but trying to go through the trains that are included and giving them as much care and attention as possible.
The wipers are hypnotic. Are we doing a change over here, Matt?
Well, I don't know what it's complaining about. Never mind. We're stopping shortly anyway.
Don't let's worry about it.
It's fine. Everything's fine. I may have taken over the cab before the previous driver fully set the train up. Oh, bit of shed action. With the JNAs, I believe they are, which are the ones you'll be familiar with from East Coastway, although these are now included in this pack. The new wagons are little 2-axle wagons called MFAs, I believe. It's coming up on the 30 limit coming in here.
Yeah, for people talking about progress transfer, just while we come into the station, we put an article up on the website yesterday. I don't want to go into all of it today because that article does a much better job of describing it than I can right now. But in short, unless you're on Epic or on PC or on Game Pass on PC, your progress will transfer over and be imported. And there are instructions on how to do so on our website and on our FAQs.
Right, it's coming into Gravesend. We're going to catch the 465 over in Platform 0.
In big capital letters on our script, it says run to it.
Run
so
to it.
We might have to be quite quick.
You see, I'm probably going to be a bad boy and cheat a little bit. Which probably won't backfire at all. Right, I'm just going to run. I'm not going to bother opening the doors. I'm not going to cheat. I've chickened out.
Nice reflections on the platform.
I think that's our train leaving, by the way.
Yay! I've done this quite a few times at Chatham Station, just frantically run as much as I can.
It's fine. This is how it works in reality. Oh no, you can't do that here. Run! Run!
Oh!
Cheers.
Oh, we had a little bit of time. Don't say we don't give you adrenaline on these streams as well.
Back in forwards. Let's set some tail lights off, headlights on. Good. This driver's done a good job. Should let him get on with it. Right.
So Amandar's asked, pre-download the game. You can't pre-download the game on Steam. You can only do that on console, but it will be available for early access tomorrow at 1700 UTC on Steam. So it says 6th on. It says 6th for release on the page at the moment. We could only put one of two dates on there, so early access will go live tomorrow. Don't worry. It might not be exactly at that time because it needs to be manually put live by Valve, but it will be close to that time. We'll talk about preserved routes a little bit later. In fact, we'll come on to that a little bit later.
Yeah, that DRA would have probably got me. You're right. Thank you, Gillingham Gus. Let's get the doors closed. Ready for an on-time departure. It's good to have at least one.
Only me asks about an update on the add-ons manager. In the article that we put out today, there is a section on the add-ons manager. Rob J's asked, will deliveries for this Class 66 need to be done from scratch on this version? Matt, I don't know the answer to that one. Do you?
I think it's the same 465.
Oh, 666.
I don't know the answer to that question. I think yes, no, it's a new one. It is a new one, so it's not the same as the East Coast Way one. It is a new 66. So yes, they will.
They'll need to be done again. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. Progress transfer Gandalf. We put an article up about that yesterday. Progress transfer on PS5 will happen. Instructions on how to do that and how to import your profile are on our website.
We're into lightning storms now.
We're getting the full spectrum of the weather available in TSW3 on our first run of the evening, which is always very nice.
Yeah.
So in terms of the 465, have we changed anything with the 465?
I think PAS has had some updates in line with the rest of the trains. Otherwise than that, I don't think so.
Should we see the PIS inside at some point?
Inside? I can't. Right, well, let's have a look when we get to Greenhithe.
Sure.
You'll notice no blurs on the wheels here as well.
Lovely. Quite an arty shot you've got there, Matt.
Well, we're looking at PAS, see?
So yeah, Chief Longshin actually says something's quite. When I noticed when we were putting this stream together, I like how this route enables you to train hop without it being a straight A to B route. There's quite a lot of branches, quite a lot of opportunities to go and explore different bits, which is obviously something that we want.
Yeah, it's got quite a diverse amount of things you can do because you've got the commuter trains and the two types of different commuter trains, and they drive quite differently on the slow lines. You've got the high-speed train, obviously. The high-speed train can do both types of journey, and then you've got freight trains. So there's a lot to do on this route.
Yeah. Hard Fighter Noah says when you can pre-download on PS4. I believe that's live now. I believe you can pre-download on consoles now. Nicholas, you're asking for me to do quite a lot in terms of time conversion on the fly, which is not going to be helpful, I don't think, for anybody. If you look at the website, you'll be able to see the article on the website. You'll be able to see the time in universal time. You can then put that into a time converter to see what time that is in central time. I wouldn't want to tell you off the cuff because I'll probably get it wrong. We're getting to that horrible area of daylight savings times as well soon. So, Mikey, do I need to have my TSW2 installed to transfer my profile to TSW3?
You don't have to have it installed, no, because the profile is stored elsewhere, so you should be okay without it installed. I mean, to stay on the safe side, I'd leave it installed until you've done it, but you should be fine. As long as you don't delete what's in your My Documents folder, of course. So going through Northfleet now.
So I'm telling you, with pre-order, what are the decals that we get? Well, we're going to leave that as a surprise for you. You can see what that's all about. I think they're going in for tomorrow. So if you've got early access, you can access those tomorrow. They'll be in Livery Designer, and they'll be where you can see all of the shapes and the logos that you can implement onto Livery Designer.
So we're going over HS1 now.
Andrew's put a question about the Spirit of Steam upgrade. That will be available as before. So for deluxe players, you'll be able to access that from tomorrow. Everybody else will be able to, who already owns Spirit of Steam or who already owns Spirit of Steam but has maybe pre-ordered Standard Edition, will be able to get that from Tuesday. Max has asked, the Livery Designer any different to TSW2? Some of the interfaces are slightly different. We've tried to make it a little bit more user-friendly, but the functionality of Livery Designer is the same as it currently is.
Yeah.
You have some nice new decals, though, if you've pre-ordered the Deluxe Edition. And Brian, the regional editions will be available on the 2nd. Sorry, the 2nd, not the 2nd. Scratch that, the 6th. Tuesday, the 6th. Whitworth has asked the wheel blayer, will it be on old routes or will it need to be added later? It would be added later, but we're not promising anything at this stage.
No, it's not a trivial job to do, so assume not.
Yeah.
If that changes, we'll tell you. Is there an option to turn off dynamic weather bills? Yes. When you start the service, you just choose whether you want dynamic weather or custom weather. Custom weather does what you're used to it doing.
Triple J asked, do we get the decals if we pre-order the Standard Edition? We'll need to double check that. I can't remember. We have a matrix on the FAQs which should hopefully provide that information for you. I've not got it up in front of my screen right now, but if you go to our FAQs, you should be able to see that. I can't answer that off the top of my head comprehensively at this stage.
Right, coming into Greenhithe for Blue Water, have a spot of shopping.
Our passengers are being sensible with their umbrellas. Some of them are getting drenched. Liam Hart, I'm not going to read out your full question because it's quite long, but you should, if you pre-ordered, you should get full access tomorrow. Access to the, I guess what we would call preserved collection, what we're now calling Train Sim World compatible content, will be available from Tuesday. So just the core routes, and if you've got Deluxe, Spirit of Steam will be available for early access. Everything else will come from launch. Totally Not Noob asks, will the 465... Sorry, 465. I said 456 earlier. 465 get any upgrades? We've just talked about them, so there's some updates to the PIS. Have we done anything with the audio as well?
Nothing notable, no.
No, okay. I did like the headlight reflections there. That was good.
Next station is Dartford, 2.6 miles. So there's some services will stop all of the stations. There's 5 stations on the extra bit. And some services like this will only stop occasionally.
Yeah. When we've got to Dartford, we haven't shown the scenarios yet, I don't think. Can we show the scenarios?
We can show the list of scenarios.
Yeah. Let's show the list of scenarios. Because I think, again, I might be adding a bit of hyperbole here. I can't remember, but I think this is the route now that has the single most amount of scenarios on it.
Yeah, it's got all of the scenarios from Southeastern High-Speed original, all of the scenarios from the 465, and 5 new scenarios.
That's a lot of scenarios. Electra's asked, what about player reskins and scenarios created in TSW2 that haven't been uploaded to Creators Club? When we'll be able to bring those into TSW3? If you're on Steam or console, on day one, if you just check out the article that's on our website around progress transfer, it'll give you all the details.
Yeah, the key thing there is when you first boot the game up, it'll ask you, do you want to import? If you've got liveries and scenarios, then then click import and to import your profile. Even if you don't actually want the profile as such, because that import is what will bring in the all of the liveries and scenarios as well.
Yeah. A couple of people have asked what the spec for this PC is that we're using in the stream.
I actually have no idea. I know it's quite high spec, a very high spec. I think it's a 3080 GPU, running at 1080p for everything, because that's what we're streaming at. I have no idea what the CPU is. I imagine it's quite high spec as well.
We asked our IT team very nicely if they would be able to put something together, and they've done it. And I wish we had the full details on a list somewhere, but we don't. But I think Matt summarised some of the key bits. A couple of people have asked about third rail sparks. Should we show some third rail sparks?
Problem with anything random. Now, when you cut off power, you're not going to get sparks. There you go. That's right. And some of the sparks will have bits blowing off them, some don't. And you'll see them show up in different. So they actually light up the area around them as well. So if you're in a tunnel when it happens, you'll see it light bits of the tunnel up.
So Chase has asked a question which okay, sorry, yes, I understand what they're saying. Is the Northern Transpennine layer still present on Southeastern, or is it replaced completely by the the Spirit of Steam layer?
The Northern Transpennine layer is not present, no. It's something I've actually talked with Joe about, and we're going to look at something in the future maybe, but no, for now it isn't there. So the only Railtours services are the Steam ones.
Don't worry, Damien. Once we've got to Dartford, we're going to start the Cajon Pass part of the live stream.
I checked the wiper speeds earlier on Dexcon, and they seem to be the same. So I'm going to raise that with the team and find out why.
The TSW3 repainter asks, will the new livery designer branding logos coming back to TSW3. There are some branding logos already in Livery Designer. I imagine you're probably not talking about those. We would need to have a check with our licensing team and work out how best, because I think we had a few extras that have sort of trickled through since we released that first batch. So I think with TSW3 coming along, it's something that we've not been focusing too much on, but maybe after it's out, this is out of the way, we can then take a look at it.
Dartford station, quite recognisable. Let's stop at Dartford. And this time we will open the doors and everyone can breathe out.
Whew. We're going to talk about Gen 8 consoles a little bit later on in the stream, someone. And that's their name, someone. Should we just do a route map while we're loading passengers?
Yep, so we have the St Pancras area up here. And you'll see actually there's one of the things that's quite nice is this little cement train sat out here. Actually, it's a static thing, and that was that.
Oh well.
So yeah, okay. Let me just jump back in real quick so that we can look at the map. There we go. So you've got the you've got St Pancras station here. You'll find this is not confirming, by the way, the existence of trains which have not been talked about. Joe's just been really clever with what he's done here. This is the East Coast Main Line, and I'll leave you to sort of have a look and see what there is going on there. But no, this is quite clever use of what there is already in the game. It's quite good.
Sneaky.
So this is Stratford, and we've got Dagenham around here, as you can see, as we saw when past it. Lots going on. And then we've got Ebbsfleet here, so this is Dartford over here, and the various stations back to Northfleet and Gravesend, Churchpit sidings and the like. So we'll carry on up this way. Faversham, got Who, which is filled with stuff, very busy. Strood, Rochester, Chatham, Gillingham. This is Gillingham down here. One of the things down here at Gillingham is the coach sidings where the EMUs are stored was too low previously, and it clipped the trains that went through. That's been lifted. Revolutionary changes, but make a big deal. Sittingbourne and then Faversham. And then if we go back...
Oh no.
Oh, that's...
Oh no.
Thank you. I'm being escorted off of the route by the AI. And then we come down from Ebbsfleet and via the HS1 line all the way down to...
They're not doing a very good job.
They're doing a terrible job. And this is then down to Ashford, and then the sides, including the trains will come up here and then back down into there, so you can get to everywhere you need to get to with the Hitachi depot.
Okay, so before we get pinged again, let's go to see the scenarios, shall we? Just before we move on to Cajon.
Yes, good shout. So to the trains, route, Southeastern, scenarios. There's not many scenarios in there. Where are the scenarios? I think. There we go.
There we go.
Right, so you got things like High Speed Run, Shopping Shuttle. You recognise these from what was there previously. Then you got things like Who Dares Wins is definitely one of the new ones. Temporary Contract is a new one. Riders on the Thames, Morning Storm, and then some of these other ones. Our Temporary Contract was a 465 scenario, and some of these others were as well. So there's a bit of a mix there of all sorts of stuff, actually, using all of the different trains that you can use. And something like, is it... one of these. Javelin Throw is a service starting at Ashford Depot. You bring the train into service into Ashford. So the Ashford Depot is third rail. So you'll be starting at third rail, going into Ashford, switching to overhead, and then driving up to St Pancras. So again, some really interesting scenarios there. Who Dares Wins is another particular favourite of mine with the Class 66.
Strong name too. Okay, shall we move on to Cajon Pass? Before we just quickly, Matt, you can get it all set up. Worth mentioning that if you already own Southeastern High-Speed on Train Sim World 2, you can get it absolutely free on Train Sim World 3. So there are regional editions which will entitle you to get the upgraded version of Southeastern for free. Those regional editions aren't live until Tuesday, or they won't be available until Tuesday. But if you get that, you will get the Southeastern, upgraded Southeastern absolutely free. Same with Spirit of Steam. If you already own Spirit of Steam and you get Standard Edition, you'll get the upgraded Spirit of Steam absolutely free. People are saying I've got a very vibrant lanyard. It's light blue, it's the dovetail colours. I'm repping tonight.
Mine's in my pocket.
Oh, apparently TSW3 T-shirts, I'm just being told by our COO, will be available on the Amazon store.
Yes.
There we go. That's an exclusive tonight, everyone.
Including a pink one.
Lovely. Okay, let's go Cajon Pass.
Cajon Pass, welcome to Victorville. Let me do a quick look at the route first. So up here we have got the epic Barstow and lots of stuff going on there. We then proceed down via Victorville, where we are here now. We go to Frost, where the crossover happens, via Hesperia here, and down via Summit, which is here, and then down the various tracks. So this is track 3, this is the steep one. And this is the really interesting mountain range, as you can tell from the way it wiggles all the way around the track. Very interesting stuff going on there. And then we come down into San Bernardino, and San Bernardino features all 3 working yard areas here that you can use here. This is generally auto racks down here, generally containers up here. So lots of stuff going on throughout the route. One of the things that for driving the trains, one of the things that people had real problem with previously, quite rightly because it was incorrect frankly, was the complexity of getting these things going. And we've worked with real railroad engineers, and the process is not only correct, it is now a lot simpler. So you will, and this is covered in tutorials. In fact, I'm going to share how the help tips can even help you as well. So I can't move the throttle because you need a reverser in for the throttle. So if I put the throttle up, it says, I need to put it in forward or reverse. So I'm going to put it in forward. If I now apply, it says, the generator field switch must be on. Right, let's put the generator field switch on. Now what does it say? Brake handle must be in release. Okay, put the brake handle in release. So I don't have to know how to drive these trains, the tooltips will tell me. So I can now apply throttle, the brake is in release. What it won't tell you to do is about the independent brake, because actually the independent brake can be used with the throttle, and that would just get really annoying. So I'm going to get the throttle applied now and just make sure we get some amps. And this startup procedure, building up the traffic, the tractive effort, is covered in the tutorials about making sure you've got power before you release the brakes. We've got power, release the brakes, and in a moment you should see the train start to move.
Can you toggle those the tooltips off?
You turn them off via the navigate. There's a yes. I can't remember what the option is, but there is an option in settings to turn off the tooltips that come up in the top left corner. Right, let me turn on banking com because I forgot that.
So similarly to the southeastern section, we have a little bit of pre-record for you to show you at various different points of this descent. We're going to do the downhill to San Bernardino, and then we're going to do a very, very short section of a very powerful train. He's wanted to do that horn for a long time.
Loving it, loving it. This is the ES44C4. One of the things for those of us that look at American wide cab trains and go, but they're all the same, aren't they? They don't look any different. This is a good way of telling them apart. Is this fine detail here with the these 2 cylinders and this bracket, and this is a unique feature of the ES44C4. I'll go back in the cab so we can hear ourselves think. And what happens is that normally the load is spread out across all of the axles, But if it senses it's losing grip because you're in bad weather and you're applying lots of power, then what happens is that those cylinders will animate. You'll see them move, and what that does is it removes the weight from the middle axle and spreads it just to the outer axles, which means it basically puts a lot more grip on the track, and that's all simulated. Not only do you hear it, but do you see it move, but it changes the adhesion as well. Let me just crank up to notch 8 just so we can get some notch 8 joy going on here.
That tray guy asked, will it force you into a route like TSW2? No, the new UI is very much more free. It allows you to kind of do what you want to do. You can go to journey mode, but you can select journey mode. Yeah,
we've taken all the auto load stuff out. Yeah, it'll go into the menu and then you choose what you want to do.
So Cajon is a particularly challenging route because of the steepness of the gradients, and I guess as well with the weather conditions or the dynamic weather, that becomes something that I think is going to be a very challenging experience for a lot of people playing the game. Is that what we were intending?
Sorry, say that one more time, JT.
It was quite loud, wasn't it?
It is.
Challenging gradients, variable weather. Does that make it hard?
Yes. Oh yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, it's if you're watching what you're doing, it doesn't necessarily get hard, but it can get away from you, and I think that's where it's a level of concentration that you need to have when you're running these trains, to make sure that you don't let it get ahead of you, and that you're thinking way ahead of what's going on. So if the weather starts changing, look at that sky. If the weather starts changing, you see the clouds filling and the rain spots appearing on your loco, then you need to be reacting to that immediately and making sure that you're because you protect yourself, protect the train, safety first. So you need to think about that when you're driving.
We've changed to feet rather than yards in terms of distances.
So there's some new settings that will let you choose what this does. So you can choose the measurement up here, whether you want feet or yards. Default is now feet, and it's stretching, so you can see it from quite a way out, but you can switch it back to yards as well.
A few people have commented already, but the sky looks amazing on this route.
Dawn and dusk are definitely two big wins with the new lighting and new cloud systems, absolutely.
Yeah, we recommend if you come into this route for the first time, try and do a service in the dusk or at dawn, because then you're going to get these absolutely amazing sunrises and sunsets.
Tank train coming the other way. This is us leaving Victorville now. The train's loud. Really loud.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've got some really good headphones and some good mics here, but I have to admit, I'm struggling a little bit to hear you, Matt. You're next to me, so...
Is there switching? There is, yes, Cecil King. There is switching in Barstow. I can't remember if there's any in San Bernardino, but certainly in Barstow there is some dedicated switching services. No, the toilets don't work, Andrew.
Sorry to disappoint.
In the plains, leaving civilization behind. Now the route is not all like this actually. As you traverse down the route, you'll find some areas are plains, some areas are built up with sort of small towns. It's actually quite a lot of variety, and there's quite a lot to look at the entire journey.
Yeah, it's kind of desolately beautiful, isn't it? There's a lot of this kind of very desolate's probably the best word for it, scenery, but it somehow manages to have that kind of beautiful feel to it. And you said on the right hand side here you've got kind of these algae filled. Is that new?
I can't remember if the algae is new, but yeah, the team have done a really good job of capturing these natural areas. They're trying to call out, there is a lot of variety, but it's not necessarily big, obvious variety. So they've wanted to capture the subtlety.
Yep. I was about to speak and I thought you pressed it deliberately, so I didn't speak.
Good idea.
A couple of people have asked length of the route, 85 miles, 130 or 136 kilometres from Barstow to San Bernardino. So a long route. How long does it take to get from one to the other?
It can take up to 3 hours to do the entire journey from start to finish. But one of the things that we've done is we've split services up. So like this one starts at Victorville, but actually if you could start this service at Barstow as well and run it Barstow to Victorville, and then Victorville, or do it as one whole journey. So we've split things up, and they don't all separate at the same place. Some of the services will start at Summit, which is we haven't even reached Summit at this point. So you'll definitely get there's a variety of different services cut in a load of different ways, or you can do entire journeys if you want to do entire journeys. It is a really fun ride. One of the trains we've got, I'm going to show it once we do this journey, is we've got our first train with mid power. So that's what they call a 422. It's got 4 locos at the front, 2 in the middle, 2 at the back. And that's a 15,000 ton train, and that's going uphill. So all of these trains have been configured based on the BNSF horsepower per ton regulations. And that train required 8 locomotives at 4,400 horsepower to make it work. I've just lost audio. Is everybody else? Oh,
It's back.
It's back. Hopefully you've got audio again. So yes, you've got that, and Banking Com fully works all of that. Actually the run, I've got to be honest, I'm not a big fan of running uphill, because for me downhill and managing that careful balance of the air and the dynamic brakes is just incredibly fun. But I tell you what, I was sweating getting this 422 up the hill. It was really, really good fun, and beautiful journey as well, so really good. So we're just passing, this is Frost. So Frost is really interesting because we now switch over, and the reason for this we'll come to and get to it, but we're now switching over to the point that track 3, we are going to be left line running. Now, most of the time America runs right line, which we have what we've been doing up to now. But for a little bit of the way here between Hesperia or Frost and Summit, we actually run on the other track. And that I'm not going to lie, that caused a bit of confusion for the team, because when you look at videos and things, they're not quite where the trains aren't. But it's like, why is that train on the wrong track? And it's not the wrong track. It's just the wrong track is the right track. If that makes sense.
A couple of people have asked, is there Union Pacific? Give us about 15-20 minutes maybe, and we'll show you a few bits and pieces.
We will answer that question.
We will answer that question. There we go. Let's go to throttle 8.
We're just about coming up to Hesperia.
Matt, at what point would you like us to go to the some of the pre-recorded stuff while we progress a little bit further down the route?
Let's do some pre-record now, actually, so that we can see that we can sit and watch the downhill side of it once we get there.
Okay. Yeah. Well, so we have another 10-ish minutes of fun while Matt sort of negotiates this part of the track, and we can show you some more fun stuff. We're going to show you a couple of pre-recorded bits. We're going to start off in Barstow Yard, and hopefully we'll be able to hear ourselves think.
So here we are in Barstow Yard, and some of these shots are just looking at the TMD. This is all from service mode, or majority of this is service mode. Some of this is from scenarios. So you can see that the depot the yards are full of a wide variety of freight cars and locomotives dotted around. And
look at that lighting.
I know, it's this route just is set alight by the lighting. It really is. Just realised what I said there. We got the freight. Those are the new maxi stack freight cars with the containers. And this is one of the enormous yard areas inside Barstow. The freight yard fills up and empties at various points during the day, depending on what's going on, what's being moved around. And this is the SD40-2 in the essential pumpkin livery.
I love this livery. So good.
It is good, isn't it? It's so good to get BNSF in Train Sim World. Oh, in my game, the rain just started.
Oh, it's very dark. Oh, we're going to leave you at a little bit of on tenterhooks, and hopefully it will be like that one over there.
So this is a really fast flyover of Barstow Yard, just to give you an idea of the sheer scale of it, and also the variety. It's not just one yard with just a ton of tracks in it. It's actually all these different facilities and sidings and loops and so forth going on there. So it's absolutely phenomenal facility, all fully represented and fully accessible as well. And then this is from one of the scenarios. This is just another flyover of a maintenance depot. So here we are at Victorville. This is where we just started actually in the in-game session, and so Victorville's a cement plant. The big loop is fully accessible, and there is one or two scenarios that actually that use it. Here we can see there's a train heading down. This train would be heading for San Bernardino, the goal here was to film a meet, and I got the timing wrong. So in the next cut, you'll see that I was wrong by about, 10 seconds, because here it is. So yeah, this is Victorville. It's a cement plant. The lightning's going mad on my route now. We just saw this actually in the game as we left Victorville, departing civilization, and you cross over from getting these really big structures to much more natural effects to it. And then again, we just passed some of this. So this is the natural scenery.
So sorry, we wanted to just cut quickly into that one because we wanted to show a bit of the lightning and the thunder. As we said, this is a random thing, so we kind of have to jump in as and when we can do. We'll come back to that in a second. But we wanted to show you what it looks like in the worst of the worst weather conditions.
Going on there, cracks and thunder in the background. I love the audio for it. It's suddenly, as I was driving, the clouds have come in, and it's suddenly the clouds coming in have absolutely destroyed the light, as you'd expect. The rain's coming down. This journey went from that's lovely to wow. Just as we hit summit, yeah, we're not far off of summit, I think. Oh no, we're a little way off summit now, yeah.
Should we go back to the pre-recorded? You've seen a little bit of lightning. Let's go into the pre-recorded, so then we're back to summit by the time that's done.
Yeah.
Yep. So we'll show this bit again.
So back to Victorville. I like the big wind turbines you see along the route. They add a lot of movement to the skyline. They are linked to the wind, so if wind is not set up, then they won't move.
Oh, it's a nice little touch.
Well, it's been the case since Sandpatch Grade even, and people would say to me, "How do you make the wind? Why didn't you make the wind turbines move?" I said, "Turn the wind up." And they're like, "No."
David, TSW3 will be on Game Pass. The standard edition will be on Game Pass on the 6th of September.
Monda, the loop at the Victorville is used, I think, for one service. We don't have Cemex trains, all the cement wagons, so it's limited use. But there is there is one service that uses the loop.
here's where we get to the more rugged terrain. The kind of the natural beauty of the scary beauty, I guess, of the mountains. Cutting through some, I think Matt's having a little bit of a challenge driving at the moment, so I'm
just keeping an eye on it. So, so this is Frost, and I wanted to capture something special at Frost. So, I was sat here, and literally I've been like rail fanning this in the normal version of the game. I walked here from Victorville, and I waited for this train to rock up, and there it is. It's a unit auto-rack train. So you might think that the Union Pacific auto-racks look out of place on BNSF train, but that's actually fairly common. And quite often, actually, you'll find lots of variety of different of auto-racks, but the UP ones are very commonplace. But what I was really hoping for was for something else to happen while I was here. So I decided I'd hang around for a bit longer, because you never know. When your luck might happen. So actually one of as Adam, he describes, ironically, given the products we offer, he describes train spotting as like going fishing.
And you might be able to hear something just now.
So that was what I was hoping for, was a bit of train over train. And there it is. That was awesome. I really like that. There's actually 3 or 4 times in the timetable, I think, that happens during the day.
And just while we're on timetables, 102 services for Cajon Pass, and those, as we talked about, are quite lots of variety of different services.
Sorry, just a second. Yes, the new bulkhead freight cars are new Crazy Dash. This is at Summit now, and it's raining. A little bit of a lightning flash going on where we can't see it somewhere, just flashing the light there. No, it's not the same train passing over itself. That's 2 trains, one going to Barstow, one going to San Bernardino, Strike Eagle.
BNSF ES44C4 layering onto San Patch grade. At the moment, it's not layering onto anything else.
Don't think so. So yeah, this is a train going through Summit. We're back to my struggle up this hill. Oh, there's more lightning going on there. We haven't even made it to Summit yet. We're struggling a bit. This is a heavy train with 7 locos. This is it's just above the minimum horsepower per ton required for the journey this way, and would actually be under horsepower if it was going the other direction. So it's we've tried to put them at the close to the limit so that you don't feel overpowered, but you've always got enough power.
Hasham asks a very pertinent question. For anybody that's come into this fresh, stumbled across this stream, doesn't know what on earth is going on, this is Train Sim World 3. You're going to be taking operation of multiple different locomotives and trains, and just doing kind of what you want with them, really. If you're interested, make sure you watch the VOD afterwards. We're showing you some gameplay now, but you've missed a lot as well. And it feels a lot darker as well. The night seems to feel a lot darker.
Yeah, the team spent a lot of time with, as part of, when you get light working, you also spend time getting no light working, essentially. So one of the key things is that lights and darks are much better now than they were previously. Yeah. And similarly, the headlights, actually, I see Jessica, Tim there talking about the lights. So we got the documentation for the specification for the bulbs that go in these things, and set up the lux values to match the official documentation. So hopefully you should find them right.
Yeah. And No Gamer says, can the weather also get better again? Yep. It just changes as we go through the services.
It's random. It's random sensible, so it doesn't just chop between things randomly. What it does is it's got a sequence, and it can, at certain points, it can choose whether I'm going to get better or whether I'm going to get worse, or essentially, there's more to it than that, but it is a random sequence, but it is random sensibly.
Okay, so we are coming up to Summit. How far are we away from Summit? Should we do another pre-recorded section?
Let's do another pre-recorded section.
Okay, Maestro, please. Last pre-recorded section of this. We're going to start on going down with some snow.
Yeah, we're on the grade now. So this is a train heading up the grade towards Summit, and you can see here we're in the snow. Wow. And we've also got the kick-up effects there coming off of the train as well. It's and if you'll also see that the snow lifts up. It raises now. It's like it's laying the snow more. So you'll see you can't see the sleepers anymore because they are actually buried under the snow. So. Rain's actually lightening up a little bit.
And people saying, yes, snow in Southern California. Yeah, it does get snow.
Yeah, look, Google it. This is interesting, actually. This train we're looking at here is two trains that come up together, and one of them is only going as far as Victorville, so it splits off, and the other one carries on, but it's easier to put them up in one train than split at the top. So this is the junction at the just near Summit, and looking at this, what you can see is just the wide variety of gradients and so forth on all the different tracks. So on the far right track there, you can see the Palmdale Cutoff, the Union Pacific track. We're on the link line between here. We're on the link line between the BNSF tracks and the Palmdale Cutoff. And then the two tracks on the left there are Main 1 and Main 2 on the BNSF Cajon Pass. And you will see coming up the tracks there is some Armour Yellow.
Cooey.
So yes, there are quite a few Union Pacific services. They're not playable, but they're AI only, and you'll see them cruising up and down the cutoff. It's quite nice. I found one or two services where it's heading southbound. You actually almost run alongside them for a little while.
Everett's asked, do you need Sherman Hill for that?
You do.
Yes.
Yes.
As with all of the other kind of layers, you'll need the content in order to make it work. Is there Cane Creek stock as well, or is it just the...
I think it's just Sherman Hill.
Just Sherman.
There we go. This is basically facing in the other direction. So this time Summit is ahead of us rather than behind us. And on the left there, you can see another UP train. This time it's heading in the other direction. But on the right, you can see the BNSF train. And that one is heading down Main 3 and is going down the steep gradient.
Yep, and some people are asking about layers with Gen 8. We're going to come on to 8th Gen in a little bit, but yes, it is all fine with 8th Gen as well. The only limitation, the only gameplay limitation for 8th Gen is the shorter consists, which we'll talk about in a sec.
There it goes, making its way down the 3% gradient.
I always want to say wee when you see the train going down a steep gradient like that.
And that's that.
Lovely. Back to some gameplay. Where are we at, Matt?
I think we've made Summit. Yeah, Summit's just down here. So we're still struggling our way along the line in the dark. Someone commented that we seem to have found rain all of the time, and partly that's because we're in autumn all the time.
Yeah.
If we'd said it to be summer, it would have naturally probably veered towards clear skies with occasional showers. whereas in the autumn you're going to more lean towards the poorer weather.
CSX Riverline Catches has asked, how big is Cajon Pass? It is 85 miles.
Yep.
BR Class 376. I am not an NPC in this game. I wish I were, but I'm not. There might be a few that look a little bit like me, but I don't think there's any that are inspired by me.
No. One thing that is, I can't remember how you use it at the moment, but the distance counter is now working on here as well. I should probably have prepped how to do that before the stream, but I didn't, so I'm not going to mess with it. But the distance counter is there. It was missed out showing it. It's there now. Yeah, Cajon Pass looks stunning in the snow, strike overall, and quite surprising. But actually, if you look at it, you find that Cajon Pass has a really varied look about it. It's not just a yellow route. You know, it's you can easily mistake it for being a desert route when it's not. Actually, it's in the spring it gets very green.
Some traffic.
Maxi stacks coming in the other direction. They're really common. There's a lot of maxi stack trains on this track, on this route.
Did you say there were some new wagons as well?
These are the new maxi stack cars. Yeah, so these are the new maxi stack cars. They're 3-unit sets as well, so they're articulated 3 units together, and they're more modern and appropriate than the Gundersons. I think the Gundersons are still used occasionally in some of these formations as a mix-up, but maxi stacks are the prevailing ones.
Thelonious asked, do any other freight cars from other routes show up?
No, there's no substitution on freight cars. There is still a challenge where substitution means that cargo weights disappear, cargoes disappear, so definitely pink containers, Emma, definitely pink containers.
So Nitrox asks, again, this kind of an admin piece. Will the old lines be updated with the new TSW3 systems? So all of the preserved, or what were the preserved collection, what we're now calling Train Sim World compatible content, it will have dynamic weather, and it will have the new lightning in them. Everything else will be Train Sim World 3 only. So that includes the kick-up, that includes the sparks, the catenary flashes. All of those things will be TSW3 only.
Almost looks like the clouds starting to go away.
You can almost see something that resembles light out there. No umbrellas either, I don't think, on old content.
No.
Because they're to do with the new passenger.
We have to switch again. We have to switch them to a different character system.
Yeah.
Which is again something that the reserve group could look at, but it's we're not making any promises on that. There's always been sparks for wheel slip to show if you spin the wheels. What happens is it kind of tries to simulate the degree of the wheels getting hotter, and eventually they'll start sparking like crazy. That's been there for quite a while. It's still there.
Paul Jessica's asked a good question about VO, voiceover. Mm-hmm. We've done all new voiceover for the tutorials, haven't we? I think we might have shown that in the training centre live stream.
Possibly.
But all of the voiceover is new. Did you do any of it?
No, I didn't. We got professionals to do it, and they've done an amazing job. There's some really, really interesting people that have done them as well. So the American voiceover artist played Vesemir in The Witcher.
Oh, well, that's news to me. That's exciting.
And the lady that did the training centre over voiceovers is actually something of a celebrity on anime voiceover stuff. So there's some really cool names, some really cool voiceovers, lots of variety. There's 5 different voiceovers in it, because we've redone Spirit of Steam as well. So it's no longer me. That's now an authentic Liverpudlian accent. Sounds really awesome.
Oh, I love the Scouse accent.
So yeah, it's there's some really cool voiceovers, and again, there's a lot more tutorials in there, and they've all been redone. And go and play the tutorials, enjoy the voiceovers; they're really good. And the Cajon Pass voiceover is tremendous.
Sadly, hence it's no Sean Bean this time. Mark Lane's asked, does the compatible content have new skies and clouds? No, the volumetric skies are TSW3 only.
And that's
and the lighting as well.
That's because of the skies and the lighting are kind of tied together, and switching to the new lighting is actually a massive job because so much has to be redone. No, they're not going to be on older routes, and it's because of the scale of job involved there. I was kind of hoping it would brighten up so we could see something, but I wonder actually if it's worth switching over to the other service now so we can see something.
Yeah, happy to do that, Matt, if you would like to. Oh, we're
So
finally using cabin lights.
I don't like driving with cab lights on. I want to see outside the window.
Derek's asked, the cars waiting at level crossings, is that for all routes, or is that just for TSW3, or is it just for Southeastern?
It will certainly not be for anything prior to TSW3. I don't know whether or not. I think it's been added to Cajon Pass. There are no crossings on Kassel.
Quiet Fox asked, will TSW3 have a Game Pass discount on launch? It will be on Game Pass, so you'll be able to get Standard Edition on Game Pass.
Right, let's switch over now and start out of San Bernardino with the big 422 service.
The big boy, not that big boy.
Oh, don't say that. Right, so let's see, it's 44, and we want San Diego, Albuquerque. And it is 5-04. So, San Bernardino to the summit. We're not going to do all of it, don't worry. What we'll do is we'll make this in July, and we'll give it light cloud. And we'll see where the dynamic weather takes us in the summer.
I've asked Matt where your big pink pointer is.
It's not my PC. They won't allow me to change the mouse pointer. Everyone say boo. Right. 14,500 tons, 96 vehicles. Let's do some banking comm. We need that. We ain't going anywhere. Let's do the generator field. We'll put these in and we'll release the brakes. Independent brakes will remain on. Brake cylinder still says 72. We'll give it a couple of notches of power and approved power comes on okay. Sounds like it. There we go. Generating tractive force. Release the brakes.
Can we hear the bell?
Yes, absolutely.
You know it's my favourite.
Leave it on for the rest of the journey.
I was going to say, do it me. Go on, I dare you.
There we go. Everything's released. We're slowly taking power. This is a heavy old train, and we're starting on a 1.2% gradient. So we're actually in San Bernardino. We're down in this area here. And we will go through the container yard, past the station, and on up out. So let's just have a fly down this console so you can see what we've got here. Because we've got the grain train. And then halfway down here, you can see we've got mid power. If we look in the window, we can see the mid power is working. As far as in a 3 camera will probably help. Let's do that so we don't have to chase the train. So yeah, this is the first time we've done mid-power, so yeah, happy to see that working. And it's not artificial either. The train requires 8, and rather than having a 4 plus 4, it's more appropriate to spread some power in the middle and ease the load on the couplers. So you can see the green bar just about in there. So we are taking power on the middle. This is not DPU. We don't have a DPU system, a distributed power unit system. That's a more complex thing to simulate. But this kind of is our nod to DPU. And there's the trailing locos on the back there. And they'll be delivering power as well. And this train will make it up. You'll be doing about 22 miles per hour maximum, for probably actually average out at 22 miles per hour for the entire way up, which is about reasonable. Don't be afraid if you're going slow when you're on these runs, because these trains are not meant to go fast, but also it'll just balance out as it speeds up. Losing speed doesn't mean you're going to stop. It just means you're finding its new balance point for the power to gradient that you're on.
Rob's asked an interesting question. Have we had to do anything out of the ordinary for distant scenery? So making sure it's always visible, decent detail, LOD, that kind of thing.
So the team have spent a bunch of time looking at distant scenery and LODs. It's mostly just about configuring it and making sure it's set correctly. Otherwise than that, we haven't done anything different. But it's been more about a focus of checking the configuration. It's easy to get wrong. We're going through the intermodal facility now, Jack. Well, we will be as soon as we get around this corner. On an Xbox One controller, you need to use the operation shift, which is the X button. Hold that down and then do the horn again, and you'll get the other horn.
So Matt, what are we going to be doing with this particular... Are we just going to take this for a very quick spin?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Take this, yeah. We'll just run it through the intermodal yard and then I think we'll finish on that.
Cool, yep. A little bit of peace and quiet. Ruined by Matt putting the horn on straight away.
Go away from the horn, shall we? Wow, there's a loud horn.
Am I allowed to speak again yet?
Yeah, the horn is stuck.
Horn abuse.
Horn abuse. I'll chat to the audio person tomorrow and find out what I did wrong. Well, you know, you're the bell.
I did not ask for this. Whoever put that in the chat. Oh, God. I mean, the Doppler effect seems to work for it, but...
There we go.
Ah.
It's all good. It's all good. Right, so there's a flyover track there. I don't think any of the player trains use the flyover track, but you'll possibly, I think, see a couple of AI trains use it. Certainly in one of the scenarios I see a train using the flyover track. Let's have a look at some freight cars. So this is the BNSF boxcar. What else we got? This is the Maxi Stacks. Nice thing about adaptation is you can look in at really light, dark areas, and it lightens it all up for you, so you can actually see what you're doing. And then when you look away, it all fixes itself again. It's very good. These are the bulkhead cars. Wasn't me. I didn't do it. Empty maxi stacks. We've just got normal ones over there. There's two types of boxcar. There's a yellow one with black on it. Right, I think
that's enough of that.
I think we'll probably end that there.
But just to highlight just how vast Barstow actually is, you did the flyover earlier, and it was absolutely massive, and we've barely scratched the surface in that segment there.
Absolutely, yeah.
And Matt broke the horn, so we're going to have to explore that one for yourself. Cajon Pass, obviously the US route. We're going to be moving on quickly now to a couple of other bits and pieces. We have another little bit of pre-record for you because for those of you that tuned into the Kassel-Würzburg stream a couple of weeks ago, there are a couple of things that we just wanted to show you now are fixed from when we showed that preview stream. So Ben's just going to play that on stream, and we can then narrate over the top of it. We alluded to this earlier, but the blue lighting or the blue glow when entering tunnels has now been removed. So hopefully when we come to the tunnel in a second, you should be able to see that.
David Belidi, taking over a train already in progress, you shouldn't need to set cut-in brakes and so forth. So that's no longer needed on this route.
So there we go. Blue glow's gone. Also, obviously this is in daylight, no sort of bad weather, but lightning should no longer be present when you're in the tunnels as well. And the magnet that didn't trigger outside Würzburg now does trigger. So a couple of things that were pointed out during the stream that are now sorted, and it's always nice to see the ICU one again, isn't it?
Lovely.
And just let's go out of the tunnel and we'll go back to face cam, shall we? Yay, some nice light adaptation. There we go. Okay, so we've shown quite a lot. A couple of people have asked if we could show the scenarios for Cajon. Maybe we could just quickly flick to that, and then we can go back to face cams for the last bit of it. There we go, 6 scenarios.
The 6th one is a free switching in Barstow. So there's 5 proper scenarios, and then the last one is just a do what you like in Barstow Yard.
Nice. Okay. That was short and sweet. So let's go back to face cam, shall we? Okay. So let's talk 8th gen, 9th gen, because within the article today that we released, there is a section on 8th gen and 9th gen and what you can expect if you are playing on a PS4 or an Xbox One versus what you might see if you're playing on a PC, Xbox Series X or S or PS5. So they're the 9th generation consoles, PS4, Xbox One, and what we call 8th generation consoles. So we've been testing throughout the Train Sim World 3 process. We've been testing across all the different platforms. Yep. So we're in a good place where we're confident that the experience for 8th gen consoles will be a positive one.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, in fact, one of the things, the new clouds, which we've adopted initially, wouldn't work on Gen 8 platforms, and there was a lot of work done to make them work on Gen 8 platforms. They are dialed back a bit compared to what you see on Gen 9 platforms, but just in terms of texture details, the same as everything else is dialed back a bit on the Gen 8 platforms. But you get the new volumetric skies on Gen 8 too, which is really, really pleased with that.
Absolutely. So in terms of the limitations that you might expect if you are on 8th generation consoles, there's not actually that many. When I read the list earlier, I was like, oh, okay, this is really good. So in terms of the train length, as we've seen on previous US freight routes, the train length is limited to 100 wagons on 9th gen and 50 wagons on 8th gen. And in terms of services and layers, all of the playable and AI services should be available for both 8th gen and 9th gen.
Yep.
But obviously shorter formations on 8th gen for Cajon Pass.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And in terms of graphics and game performance, we will see differences that you would expect between the two consoles.
Yes, absolutely. From having a lot more GPU and a lot more CPU on the newer consoles, they will have the higher detail, but to the same level that you're already used to. So it's essentially it's the same way they would normally differ between Gen 8 and Gen 9. There's nothing new here.
Yeah, and as ever, during the early access window and the early launch window, we'll be checking out all of the feedback that you give to us, and we're going to be, if there are any changes that do need to be made, we will take a look at that on a case-by-case basis. Mm-hmm. Okay, and people are asking about the T-shirts. Apparently, I've been told during this stream, they should be available on Amazon at some point. I don't think they're quite live yet, but they should be a little bit later down the line. So that's the end of the kind of gameplay segment and the 8th gen, 9th gen discussion for tonight. I'm sure there's a lot of questions that we will be answering over the course of the next few days. But what we wanted to try and do with the last sort of 5 minutes or so is just go over again those things that, for people who have come a little bit late into the stream, for people who perhaps this is their first Train Sim World experience, we wanted to just make sure that they have all the information that they need. This is available on our website now if you want to read it. It's the What You Need to Know for Train Sim World 3 article that's the top of the pile. Pre-order is live. If you get pre-order at any point during the early access window, if you pre-order at any point during the early access window, you'll get early access until Train Sim World 3 is available and the launch happens. The timings are, I'm just trying to get this right again, 0900 UTC for console. They are 1500 UTC for Epic. They are 1700 UTC for Steam. If you want to chuck those into a time zone converter to see what that is in your locale, please feel free to, and make sure you set your alarms. You can preload now if you want to on consoles. If you've got automatic downloads enabled, it should do it automatically. If you haven't, then set it up. It will save you a little bit of time when you come to download the game. That's not available on Steam or Epic at this stage. Preserved Collection should port over for launch on the 6th. So it'll be sort of within the first 24 hours. All of the Preserved Collection routes that you currently own will be available. The exception to that is PlayStation. That is mentioned in the article. We had some unfortunate news from our friends at Sony that they weren't able to launch all of the content on the first day, but they're going to be batching it over the course of the next few weeks, ideally within the first month of launch, and we'll be prioritizing Train Sim World 2 core routes, more recent routes, and routes that will be having updates with the preserved crew updates. So that's unfortunate. We would love for that to be available, but unfortunately, we had that news this morning from our friends at Sony, unfortunately.
We'll keep you updated as progress happens on that one. What we don't want to do at this point is overpromise. So that's we're cautious on that. And as we go through, obviously, the faster we can get it out, we will.
Yeah, and the idea is that we will be able to provide a little bit more detail when we've been able to confirm the new rollout with Sony, because we only had this news earlier today. So progress transferring over will happen. So your profile, your liveries, your scenarios, they will all be ported over if you on Steam, PlayStation or Xbox. There is an article on our website telling you how you can do the import. We recommend if you want to transfer over your liveries and scenarios and you've not uploaded them to Creators Club, to do that on your first login on Train Sim World 3. Otherwise, you might not be able to do it afterwards. The only platforms that we aren't able to offer that on at the moment are Game Pass for PC and also Epic. The preserved content coming to TSW3 on day one. Don't worry, I'm nearly done. Bakerloo timetable will be coming to TSW3 on day one, which is very exciting. We know a lot of people are very excited for that. Rymore, Austin, Peninsula Corridor, Oakville Subdivision, LGV, Cathcart, all of the preserved crew, preservation crew even, updates that we've promised on the roadmap will be coming to TSW3 on day one. I think that's pretty much covered everything. And the transfer can only profile transfer can only happen from the same console to the same platform to the same platform. So you couldn't go from PS4 to PS5. You can't go from Steam to Xbox. It'll only be on the existing platform that you're using at the moment.
Just a file copy from another part of your system, basically.
Yes. Okay. What is the time? Oh, it's just gone 10 o'clock. We've been live for just over 2 hours. And I think that takes us to 12 hours before early access is available for console. So it feels like a very good opportunity to leave it. As I mentioned before, pre-order is live if you want to. If you've liked what you've seen tonight, then feel free to jump in. And if you want to, over any point during the early access window, you can jump in and play with pre-order. And early access. So, Matt, thanks for joining me. Thanks for doing the gameplay tonight, as ever. It's wonderful to be able to do it here.
It's amazing. I've really enjoyed this. We need to do it more often.
I mean, it's a 2-hour drive for me to get in, but yeah, let's do it more often.
I'm fine with that.
Let's do it more often. I've been JD. Thank you very much to Ben behind the scenes today. Give us a little wave, Ben. Thank you very much for helping us all sort that out. And thank you to everybody in the chat for all of your questions, all of your enthusiasm. We can't wait for you to find out a little bit more about Train Sim World 3. Tomorrow, when you're all playing it, we're going to set up a separate forum and for you to give us your feedback when you're able to play. We can't wait to see what you think.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
So 12 hours, guys, for all you console folk. Everybody else will have to wait a little bit longer, but don't worry, it's coming. Less than 24 hours, everybody. We'll see you later.